Hello, my name is Matthew Splan, and today I'll be showing off some of the features you can use with Google Arts and Culture. The first thing you'll notice is just how ginormous this website is. Just look at this. This is the home page right here, and it just goes down forever and ever. So if you're looking for something in mind specifically, this probably isn't the best place to go. But if you're just looking to pique your students' interest, you've got some options here. But we won't click on these yet. We'll come back to them. Instead, we'll be working our way down from this list up here. The first one is Explore. So the Explore tab is just as it sounds. It's a place to explore. So there's highlights up here, categories, time and color, themes, and collections. So I'm studying to be a history teacher. So obviously I'm going to go with one of these two, historic events. And from here, you can look at all of them, usually by the most popular. A to Z, if you're looking for something specific, or a time range. So, for example, if we look at between 1920 to 1940, it'll give us a bunch of stuff that happened around this time. So I'm going to click on Russian Revolution. When you click on one of these events or paintings or artist, it gives the time period and then a brief description, usually from Wikipedia. And the first thing you'll notice is story. On the bigger events and artists, they'll usually have one of these or multiple of them, like with World War II, there's 5 or 6 of them. And this just kind of tells a story of what's happening during this time. So with this interwar period between World War I and World War II, it's about the different conflicts that were happening. So for example, the Russian Civil War happened, and then the Finnish Civil War, and I believe there should be German Revolution, and it goes on. You can see the progress bar down here that it was definitely not a peaceful time during this period. And this could give your students some ideas of maybe like a research project to do during this, or if they're history buffs, they might want to learn more about this on their own. There's a bunch of different things you can do with this. So we'll go back. And then towards the bottom here, these are just pictures of from that time period. So for example, this is from the Polish-Soviet War, which would have been mentioned during that story. Gives the date, and on some of them they give a brief description of what's going on here. Unfortunately, we don't have a translation. There's the source here of where this is coming from, and then if you need a better view, you can also zoom in. So from here we can go back, and instead of organizing by popularity, we can organize by timeline. So the Russian Revolution, the popular one happened in October 1917. So that's where we're going to get most of our results. And most of these are just pictures. So as you can see, there isn't much detail to them. We do know this took place in St. Petersburg, Russia, and was published in Time Life. So we can go back from there. Coming back to the main Explorer screen, let's go with art movements instead. And as with historic periods, you've got the all, the A to Z, and then the timeline again. So thinking about this, you could use some interdisciplinary learning with both, let's say, social studies and art class, where you would show art from a specific time period, and then you kind of link that to what was going on in the historic period at the same time as well. So we'll go back to the main screen here, and let's go with Romanticism since I kind of enjoy that sort of art. So as with when we clicked on the Russian Revolution, it's got a time period of when it would be most popular or made, and then a summary of what we can expect to find in these works of art, and this time it's by Grove Art. And then, as before, we've got a bunch of pictures we can pick from. This is like the most popular category. The same thing with the timeline. And then we've got a different option here. This is color. So if we're looking for something with specific amounts of color in it or a high amount, we can go here. So we're on like this dark green. And as you can see, like this one especially has a lot of dark green and over here. And then let's go with red. So ironically enough, we get some looks like British officers. Sir Thomas Lawrence, painting of Lord Amherst. So this is the kind of stuff you can expect from that. And then we'll go back to the main Explore menu and move on to a different area. All right, and this is the Nearby tab. This just shows you museums that are near your position. So this dot represents about where we are. And then this just shows the museums that are nearby. And then if you zoom out, it'll also show you the number of museums that are in certain clusters, usually in cities, obviously, like in Chicago down here, the Chicago area, there's a ton. And that's about it. You can also explore different landmarks. So we'll go to Route 66 here, just clicking on this. Just as before, it'll give you a description of what you're looking at and some details. And then that's about it for this tab. So we'll go, I guess, profile. This just shows you your favorites. I don't have anything favorited. Achievements. So maybe if you've got people who are achievement hunters and want to collect all these by exploring. So for example, well, what's this one? Spend time viewing an image. I mean, that's pretty simple, right? So that's it for this tab. And then we'll go back to collections. So collections just shows you different works of art that are located in with certain museums or organizations or places, as with NASA and the Eiffel Tower. So just to pick one, we'll go with the State Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg, Russia. And as with things before, it just tells you a little history of the place and sort of what they have that might be of interest to people. And then we can see different mediums here, so rock, marble, oil, and canvas paintings, timelines, popularity, and color again. And then this is a nice little feature with these bigger museums. Obviously, they have a bit more detailed descriptions, but we can go into Street View. So with Street View, we get to actually be within the place. So obviously the image quality isn't nearly as good as, say, when we were in the previous page, but what I find more interesting is observing the architecture and the layouts of different countries' museums around the world. So just think of this place compared to, say, an American museum. It's completely different. It's just the sort of things you'll notice when you're going through these virtual tours. And of course, they'll have different pieces that aren't listed on the website itself, such as this one. I don't remember seeing that anywhere. And it doesn't come up when we look over it. Once in a while, when you look over these, it'll give you like a pop-up that tells you more about the painting or the piece. So we'll get out of here and we'll go back. We'll go to themes. So just as we saw with the collections before, these are just different stories that fit within a certain theme. So I'm just going to pick vaccination just because, well, it's been kind of relevant in the past couple of years. So these are all just different stories that talk about vaccination throughout the modern day, or even if we scroll down further here, um, during history. So obviously we've got more time for interdisciplinary studies, maybe between social studies and sciences this time instead of art and science and social studies, that is. So from there we can go back and we'll go to experiments. So then with the experiments tab, this is also crosses over with the play tab on the Google Arts and Culture site. This is just Google's idea of coming up with different ways to teach students about a variety of different subjects. So, for example, we have about global warming here, or about how much damage we've done to the earth, or if we keep going further down here, about music. So, if you have musically inclined students, you can think of how to incorporate that into the classroom. And the list kind of just goes on. So, this actually opens a new tab. So, let's go back. And we've already went through artists, mediums. So the only place we haven't explored yet is places. And this is just certain places within the world that items are located. So obviously the United States has a ton, but we don't want to go there. That's boring. Let's go to Brazil. So of course, as usual, it gives us a little description of the place that we're looking at. There's different art collections that are located there. So all these different museums, stories, and then images of the place that we're looking at. So this looks like interesting. So yeah, we just pretty much get the same thing as we've been getting before. It's just a certain or different way to explore and find new things. This time just going based off a place. And then of course, instead of going through these tabs to look for something, if you have something particular or broad in mind, as I've already tried with grass, we'll show this one off. So grass is pretty broad, obviously, but look at the different results we get. We get weaving baskets and mats, and just different pictures of paintings that involve grass or pictures, and just a wide variety of things that you probably wouldn't even really expect to find. And then we'll show off a specific one. Let's go with one of my favorite paintings, Oath of the Haradi. So if you got something particular in mind that you want to look up, that's the easiest way to find it, just by using the search bar. So yeah, that should be all the features of Google Arts and Culture. Just the amount of things that are on here is incredible, and the amount of different ways you can incorporate that in the classroom using interdisciplinary studies between, as we've seen, art, especially art class, science class, literature. If you can, for example, William Shakespeare's on here too, if you look him up. So there's a bunch of different ideas you can come up with to incorporate this in the classroom. And hopefully this helps you explore the website a bit better than if you just get intimidated by the first page. So have a good day.